Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Talking Philly Sports with Matty B program. Birds Breakdown with Kyle Quinn edition. For those of you who did see the show on Monday, Kyle was supposed to be part of the second half, but the interview with JJ and some technical difficulties on my part prevented Kyle from joining us that night. But fear not, because here he is standing right next to me tonight. Kyle Quinn. I was not going to let the week go without you breaking down the Viking game. I threw the Viking game breakdown a little bit at the end of the show on Monday. I didn't give it its due. So I'm righting the wrong tonight, Kyle. Thanks for joining me a few days later on, but thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Thanks for having me. Glad we were able to work something out on a Thursday, and I'm happy to get some more Eagles talk going.
Yeah, and Kyle, I guess it's maybe it's more applicable that we're talking tonight. We had a few days let the game settle. I mean, it's been a week, and the Eagles are on their mini bye here. 34-28 was your final score last Thursday night at the Link. The Eagles, in most circles, kind of the same type of game that they played offensively against the Patriots, at least to start with. The defense a little shaky. We're down a few players and we're down another one. Avante Maddox went down in this game. Kyle, give me your summary of what you saw last Thursday night at the Link.
So defense, all the injuries up the middle with Chip and then Bradbury and Nakobe Dean, of course, being on IR, and then Maddox losing him in the middle of the game. I think all things considered, they did a pretty decent job at preventing the Vikings from scoring a whole bunch. I thought the Eagles might have to go back and forth a little bit with the Vikings. They didn't have to. I give the defense credit for that and getting in Cousins' face a little bit. But on offense, I saw a team that I think wanted to try and win the game by throwing the ball and failed to do that. But, I mean, credit to them and Brian Johnson for adjusting and just, saying, here's our bread and butter. We're going to have to go win this game by just running it up their throat. And then once they did start doing that, it softened up the back end of the defense a little bit. You started seeing them take shots, and Hurts looked a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, I think at least for the first half, when the Eagles were trying to press and throw the ball to win, as they have so many times last season, and like they sort of tried to do in the first week, like against New England, it didn't look like they were really able to do that. So I thought that was a little bit discouraging on the passing front. Again, it's only week 2, but I think there was some good and bad from the offense. One, that they were able to adjust, but two, that it was more out of necessity than it was luxury.
So you're saying out of necessity, and that was kind of my second question. Not necessarily necessity driven, but is this a product, do you think, more of what's taken what the defense is giving you, or is this a product of some mechanical issues, either with the play calling or with the execution at quarterback?
Well, short answer is both, but I think part of it has to do with just the simple fact that the league is now adjusted to what the Eagles were doing. The Eagles were the team that everybody put on their tape for over the summer and the offseason to crack into what they were doing offensively. So now it's really up to the Eagles to show us what their counterpunch is, and that's one from the play caller, and that's two from Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to have to show that he's going to be able to adjust and get comfortable with some of the new defensive looks that he's been given. I mean, to his credit, I know we sort of looked at the beginning of the schedule and said it was soft, but Bill Belichick, Brian Flores, and now Todd Bowles is 3 pretty tough defensive coordinators, 3 pretty smart guys who know how to disguise stuff, throw stuff at you that you haven't really seen before, stuff that's unscouted really to the Eagles. So I think you have to give a little bit of credit to those guys, but now I think it's really time for the offense to turn it around. I need to see a good Jalen Hurts performance.
Yeah, staying on the offensive side of the ball, there was one very, very good performance from the Eagle offensive player, DeAndre Swift, coming off of his 1 carry performance in week 1, 28 carries, 175 yards, and 1 touchdown. Kyle, I had him as my player of the game week 1. Obviously, I was off by a week, but Kyle, do we have ourselves a bell cow running back in DeAndre Swift, or are the Eagles going to continue on with this, running back by committee type thing?
Well, I definitely don't think DeAndre Swift is a bell cow type running back. I doubt we'll ever see him get 28 touches in a game again. I think that was crazy. That was a career high for him, I think, by quite a lot. And plus, he's not really a guy that's shown he can be relied upon when it comes to staying healthy all the time. So, the Eagles' rushing offense was fantastic, and they put up like 256 yards on the ground. That's not going to be how they're going to be able to win all the way throughout the season. I mean, this This was the big difference between 2021 and 2022 was that in 2021 they ran the ball because they had to. They couldn't throw the ball, and they started 2-5 because they tried to throw the ball. They turned it around, made the playoffs, and got walloped because they didn't have a counterpunch to teams taking away the run. And then in 2022 they added AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts took a big jump forward. Now it's time to see if this running of the ball, the reason they did it successfully, was it, back to what we were talking about originally, is it because they had to, or is it because they want to? Last year, it was because they wanted to. I think this time it was because they had to.
Jalen Hurts on the evening, 18 for 23, 193 yards, touchdown, interception. He was sacked 4 more times for a loss of 22 yards. That is the second biggest story I think that I've heard this week. Brian Johnson being the first one, is Jalen Hurts the second one. I'm not prepared to jump off the boat yet. Jalen Hurts has proven he's a franchise-like quarterback. But I am concerned that, the first 2 weeks, I'm seeing a Jalen Hurts that's not going through his progressions anymore. He's doing the one look run that I saw a lot of in 2021. And again, is this more of what the defense is giving Jalen Hurts, or is this Jalen Hurts a little bit lost right now?
Well, I think he's just a little bit slow to adjust, which is, perfectly okay as long as you think that he will eventually adjust. I do. I have confidence that Jalen Hurts, until he shows me otherwise, is going to improve and get better and learn and, study what defenses are throwing at him. But it's going to be tough. I mean, like we said, Jalen Hurts is the guy that everybody studied over the offseason. So teams are going to throw this kind of stuff at him. It's a matter of whether or not he's able to sort of give his counterpunch to the league. And I mean, I have the confidence that he will. I actually put this more on his shoulders than I do on Brian Johnson's. I mean, Brian Johnson's been here. He's been with the team for a few years. This isn't like some new, fresh set of eyes coming in and just implementing this new system. This is Nick Sirianni's system that Shane Steichen called plays for, and now Brian Johnson's calling plays for, with the same quarterback, the same offensive talent. So really, I put this a lot more on Jalen Hurts than I do Brian Johnson.
One more offensive point. The 2 outstanding Eagle wide receivers, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, only 4 receptions each in this game, targeted a total of 11 times. Devontae Smith, though, did have 131 yards, receiving a beautiful 63-yard touchdown pass that he hauled in there in the first half. AJ Brown, Kyle, I was going to wait for this to be the question of the week, but I'm going to go ahead and jump on it right now. There was that little dust up on the sidelines between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts that Nick Sirianni had to come in there and be the peacemaker. We don't have another T.O. situation on our hand, do we, with A.J. Brown?
No, well, not another T.O. situation. T.O. situation was a pretty enormous can of worms that, I highly doubt we'll ever see the likes of again. No, I don't think we have a T.O. situation. I mean, my intent is definitely up on the whole situation. I know him and Jalen Hurts are really close. But, who's to say how it rubs off on Dallas Goedert or Devontae Smith? Like, if AJ Brown's upset about targets, I mean, what's Dallas Goedert thinking if he's not getting targeted much over the first 2 games? And Devontae Smith, if, say, 1 week it's him getting the bulk of the touches, and AJ Brown's sort of saying, hey, like, why can't I get those touches? And Devontae Smith's like, well, they're mine. I just don't want to war for targets on this team. Yeah. While Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown can be really close friends, I think that's definitely something that my antenna's up on, considering it took 2 weeks for AJ Brown to be upset. And I know he said it wasn't about targets today. I'm not buying any of that.
No, either am I.
Don't buy it. Sirianni said that it was just a 2 out of 10. So I would say my antenna's up. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue this season. I hope it's not. But it's something that I'm keeping my eye on now for sure.
And then on the other side of the football, let's talk defense here a moment. Just to kind of touch on the defense. We're going to touch defense later on as we talk about the Buccaneers. But last season was the big story in this game, the week 2 matchup against the Vikings, because that's exactly who they played last year in week 2. The story last season was the shutdowning of Justin Jefferson. Not the case on Thursday night. Jefferson, 11 receptions, 159 yards. His longest was 30. It seemed like everywhere you turned, that was Kirk Cousins' guy. I mean, that's what he is. And in all intents and purposes, it came from a fumble, a touchback out the back of the end zone, away from maybe being a real football game. Kyle, was the concern that Justin Jefferson had his way with the Eagles secondary more of a Justin Jefferson thing, or is this a concern that many wide receivers are going to have their way with the Eagles secondary?
Well, look, you're not going to hold Justin Jefferson. What was his numbers in the first game? We played them last season, like 1 catch for like 6 yards or something.
Yeah,
do that to Justin Jefferson 2 games in a row. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I do think in part our secondary is banged up over the middle, Blankenship and Bradbury, and then Maddox for a little bit. I mean, that's tough. I mean, Justin Jefferson's going to drop $150 on you. It's just kind of the way it goes. We'll see how it plays out over the rest of the season. It looks like some guys are about to come back and get healthy. So if we start getting pieced up while Blankenship and Bradbury are back, then we'll have to start thinking about probably adding somebody at the trade deadline, looking out to go get somebody. But as of right now, it's not a concern. I think I'll chalk it up to just Justin Jefferson.
And then my last defensive story, or a couple more questions on the defense, or a couple more statements about the defense. Avonte Maddox down in this game. Turns out he tore his pec. He's done for the 2023 season. Another injury to this young man, as he has the talent, he has the ability, but he doesn't have the will. He can't stay on the field. Kyle, he comes from that very much lauded 2018 draft class that really, Howie, don't give him credit. He hit on every one of them. What does this injury mean long term to the Eagles this season?
Well, it stinks. I mean, there's no doubt that you got weaker at the slot corner position. Avonte Maddox, when he's healthy, is a good player. The guys that are replacing him are young. I know the Eagles are high on him, but again, they're young and they're inexperienced. So it definitely sucks. It hurts you at slot corner. And it also kind of, I'm not sure how much it gets talked about, but the position the Eagles are already weak at is safety. And Avonte Maddox is a guy that has played safety before. He has safety experience. So they get weaker there. Then you also lose a little bit of depth at two positions on the back end of the defense. So, I mean, it sucks. Bradbury and Blankenship are going to have to get healthy and try to make up for it as much as they can. But there's no doubt that you got weaker at that spot.
Well, we didn't get weaker at punter because this week the Eagles parted ways with Aaron Sipos.
Oh, maybe.
What was that?
I said maybe.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. And then we signed Braden Vann to the practice squad. I guess he'll be elevated. I don't know what the Eagles are doing. This is a new thing I'm seeing. The Eagles are not actually carrying a punter on their roster. They just keep bringing him up and putting him back down every week off the practice squad. I guess you can do that.
Yeah.
Does it move the needle? Does any of this move your needle at all, Kyle Quinn? The releasing of Aaron Sipos and the signing of Mann? Is this just another? Hopefully this is not a part of the game that's going to eventually bite the Eagles on the butt. It might, but what do you stand on Aaron Sipos' career here in Philadelphia? Seemingly over.
Sipos, great run he had. I have no idea anything about Braden Mann, so I'm not going to give you my expert analysis on Braden Mann. I will say sometimes with kickers and punters, it's a little bit weird. I mean, we found Jake Elliott in an odd way because our kicker got hurt after week 1, and sort of the rest is history with him. So you never know. I mean, if he does upgrade the position, then it's an upgrade at the position. I mean, it's as simple as that. But who knows how much it'll help us or it'll hurt us. But, Braden Mann for Aaron Sipos at this point, I have zero clue. Now, with the practice squad elevation thing, I think it does seem like they had a little bit of a plan with how they had this 11-day break between games Thursday. I guess they didn't want to have like so little time between reps with Jake Elliott and the holder for the kicks and screw that up. But now they have 11 days to sort of get that going. I think they'll probably elevate Braden Mann. And if he, sticks, then they'll just stick him to the roster.
Well, let the good times roll. And good luck, Aaron Sipos. Maybe he'll return to his native, where's he from? Austria? No, Australia? Is that where he's from? Yeah. Talk about the defensive up front there, the Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, specifically them two. I could not be more pleasantly surprised with the type of penetration, type of pressure that these guys are providing. Obviously, the Eagles might have found definitely something there. I'll give them that. I am not going to compare Jalen Carter to Jerome Brown after 2 games. Not going to do that, but I am liking definitely what those two bring to this mix. How do you stand on the play of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis so far this season, Kyle?
I mean, yeah, you got to be excited. Jordan Davis looks like a guy that you drafted 15th overall. He's getting through. He's playing on third down. I mean, this is all stuff that you're like last year. You're like, what? Like, why did we pick this guy here if he can't even do that stuff? And now he is, and he's playing well in that role. And I mean, yeah, Jalen Carter, you said it. I know you didn't make the comparison yourself, but he is getting those comparisons to Jerome Brown and Reggie White. And, I know people like to make crazy comparisons, but I mean, you see those kind of flashes. You see the greatness in him, and he was touted as highly as he was as a prospect for a good reason. So yeah, I mean, you have to be excited about the Georgia guys.
I mean, I cringe when people compare Bryson Stott to Chase Utley, so I'm not going to go ahead and compare Jalen Carter to Jerome Brown. Not quite yet. Another thing, Kyle, and I keep this little stat at home, and I did it all last season. The Eagles so far in the second halves of football games scored 30 points. That is a considerable more than they did last year. Now, obviously, every season's different. Every game is different. The Eagles have found themselves in games or just barely in ahead at halftime. But there's the Brian Johnson effect, there's the Jalen Hurts effect, but then there's also the adjustment effect, and you can't take that away from the Eagles that they're making the adjustments. So there's something there that's positive in game. But obviously, at the beginning of games, Kyle, they got to get off to better starts. They got to come out with a better looking game plan because eventually they're going to run out of. And no disrespect intended to the Vikings and the Patriots of the world, they're going to run out of some cream puff teams, and they're going to be up against teams that might put them in the ground in the first half if they don't come out with a better first half game plan. Correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I think you kind of just explained away the whole first half, second half scoring thing. Because last year they were really good, and their offense was new to the league, so they got out to a lot of head starts. And they were pretty much able to just pin their ears back and hold leads and run the ball and, not necessarily have to score to win games. Now you're seeing teams sort of throw them that punch that after that adjustment. So the first halves are getting a little bit tougher. So the Eagles have to continue to keep their foot on the gas in the second half. And that's why you're seeing a little bit of scoring differential. So, yeah, I agree with you. Credit to the Eagles for adjusting, but they are going to have to come out and get out to faster starts against better teams.
Now, we both had the Eagles in this game, so we both won. You were at 28-27. I had them at 21-17. So I guess by virtue of that, I'll give it to you. You were closer to the Eagles' final score, but it's still we're still 2-0. I'm not. You ain't up like 2.5 to and 2-0. Now it's 2-0. Your player of the game was Jalen Hurts. Mine was AJ Brown. I don't know who was closer to that. Maybe it was probably Jalen Hurts, but obviously DeAndre Swift. In a lot of circles, in main circles, is probably the player of this game.
Yeah.
But again, 2-0 and 2-0 right now. Me and you off to a undefeated start here to 2023. Eagles defense, 4 turnovers in this game, have now created 6 turnovers to start the season versus giving the ball up twice. So positive stat there, Kyle. Turning the page, Kyle Quinn, Monday night down there in humid Tampa. There's a high of 90 expected for Monday. With scattered thunderstorms. I don't know, is it September or is it August? But it's going to be one of them swampy kind of nights there in Central Florida. And then we got the surprising 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. Kyle Quinn, where do you attribute the start of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season to?
Well, Baker Mayfield's playing a little bit better than I expected him to. They do have on offense, Godwin and Evans, and I mean, really put a decent quarterback in place there, and the offensive line isn't brutal. Then, I mean, they haven't been great. Baker Mayfield's kind of been running for his life, like playing with his hair on fire out there, but he has been making some plays, and their defense is good. It's well coached. Todd Bowles does a really good job. I think they have one of the top run defenses in the league. So, yeah, they've come out and surprised people. I think with being 2-0, but I definitely don't think they're going to continue that for the rest of the season. Although they're in a weak division, I think it might be between them and the Falcons who end up winning that one. So,
man, I didn't see that one coming. I mean, I guess we talked about this at the beginning of the season. We both really kind of thought anybody could win that division out there. Anybody could be. I mean, that's a bad division. But you're right. I'll definitely pin that on Baker Mayfield as he's kind of come out and played a little bit above his level. The Buccaneers have announced that they will go with the red tops and the white bottoms. The Eagles have not announced their uniform. I imagine it'll probably be the Wentz whites. It's still September, and I usually go with that. Injury report right now. It's a little too early in the week to get a definitive injury report. The Eagles are dealing with some. Obviously, Avonte Maddox is out. The Blankenship and the Kobe Dean's on IR. Some players that were out will probably be back next week or by Monday night, with the exception, of course, of the Kobe and Avonte Maddox. The Buccaneers also dealing with some questionable issues. Nothing earth-shattering with the injury report, Kyle. Did you see something else there that I'm missing?
No, well, I know their defensive tackles have been limited, so for a tough defensive front, I know it might be difficult for the Eagles to run the ball, but depending on if those guys are 100% or if they're playing or not, that could be something to watch. But I think if they both play, then it's really a nothing burger.
Yeah, Cansey, Vetta, defensive tackles, they're both listed as questionable. Carlton Davis, the cornerback, is questionable. Ryan Neal, the safety, is also listed as questionable. That's pretty much the meat and bones of what they're releasing at this point in the week. So, I guess it'll be more of a, day by day type situation. Kyle, so as the Eagles kind of, I don't know, turn on the swamp coolers, what do you think is going to happen down there in Tampa on Monday night?
Yeah, well, I hope they come out and try to throw the ball and continue to do what they've been trying to do the first couple of weeks. I know people are frustrated and people just want to see them do whatever it takes to win and run the football and whatever. But I want to see them keep getting reps in and try to become a prolific passing offense like the one that's going to carry them back to the Super Bowl. So I want to see them go out and try to do that, and I want to see them do it successfully. So if I couldn't make it any more obvious, I'm putting this one on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense to go win it. I think they will. I think it might be a little bit tougher with the game being in Tampa and Tampa playing pretty well, being early in the season. So we'll see. But I think the Eagles are going to pull it out. But I think it'll be a little close.
And your 3 keys to Eagle victory?
Yeah. So all of them offense, and pretty much most of them on Jalen Hurts. I think he needs to be more decisive with some of the looks that he's getting, and he needs to be less hesitant as he's been in the first 2 games of the season. I need him to turn the ball over less. That's been a characteristic of Jalen Hurts that we've been able to count on through 2021 and 2022, his entire starting career as an Eagles quarterback. So I need him to stop turning the ball over. And then I'm going to need the offense, Brian Johnson, and the offensive line and the running backs especially, to do better in picking up blitzes. A lot of things teams have been doing is sending 6 guys at Jalen Hurts pretty much. And I mean, I'm not a math guy, Matt, but I think 6 is more than 5 guys. And the running backs, DeAndre Swift and Gainwell, haven't done that great of a job in pass protection. So they're going to need to do that. Jalen Hurts is going to have to be decisive, like I said, to step up in the pockets that he gets. And I think it all comes down to how this passing offense operates.
My third key to Eagles victory is kind of on the lines of yours. I need the Eagles on their first offensive possession to go down and score a touchdown. I need them to set that tone. I need that game plan to be crisp. I need Jalen Hurts to be crisp. I need those 15 scripted plays, those first 15, to be the best 15 plays of this season, because I think we need to get that confidence. The Eagle offense needs that confidence. And I think Jalen Hurts and the fan base needs that confidence for them to go down and score on that opening drive. No more field goals on the opening drive. So I need the touchdown there. My number 2 key to victory is continue with the in-game adjustments, because this is what this game is. It's never going to be what you come out with, because if you're gonna ride your game plan from beginning to end, either 2 things have happened: you're blowing the doors off them, or you're getting blown out yourself, because it does not work that way. Teams make in-game adjustments, and you have to counter. You mentioned the punching thing, so we got to continue to do that. But I want to see us doing that with about a 10-point lead and no less. It's the game. Who's on? And my number 1 key to Eagles victory is Jalen Hurts. As you said, this is all Jalen Hurts this week as well for me too. I need to see that 2022 Jalen Hurts, and I need it in rare form. I need him bad Monday night, Kyle Quinn.
Yeah, that's what it's. Both kind of want a 2022 Eagles victory. I think they're going to go back to those comfortable wins where we just looked like we sort of dominated. But yeah, I'm with you, because it's more so because we're thirsty for the signs of the seen over the first weeks of the season, the signs of we did see last year. So I'm totally with you. I'm thinking we're both putting this one on the offense.
I agree. And with all that being said, give me your prediction and score, Kyle Quinn.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I do think they're going to do all that. I think Jalen Hurts is going to look good in Week 3 against the Bucs on Monday night in prime time. I think the Bucs might give us a little bit of trouble on offense, and it might be a little bit of a sort of back and forth-ish type game. I'll go Eagles 26-23.
And your player of the game?
Well, if everything goes as planned for the 3rd week in a row, I'm picking my man Jalen Hurts.
Well, you're consistent, though. I give you that. I got Eagles 28-17. And again, I'm going also with Jalen Hurts this week. I need to see that from him. He's my player of the game as well. I need it. We all need it right now. We need Jalen Hurts to put some of the settle some of the angst around town. All right, Kyle, my question of the week. As I said, the AJ Brown thing, I was going to kind of go with that, but I decided to kind of use it earlier on in the interview. So let's go with this. And it turns my stomach to have to actually say this to you or ask this of you, but I'm gonna try to hold down my dinner and say it. Are the Dallas Cowboys this good, Kyle Quinn?
I mean, I'm not really scared of the Dallas Cowboys like everybody else is. One,
I didn't say they were. I didn't ask if you were scared. Are they this good?
no, they're not this good. I mean, if this good, by this good, you mean like how everybody's overreacting like they always do across the Jets and how they beat the Giants. Like, I mean, whatever. This is how the Cowboys tend to start seasons off. I'm not really I don't think the offense has looked outstanding. I know the defense has looked really good, but it's 2 weeks into the season. They played two pretty bad teams, so they can have their victories. Trayvon Diggs is going to be a huge loss for them.
Yeah.
So I'm totally ready to bring it. I think we're still the more talented team.
I think we are too, and unfortunately, we got to wait some couple more weeks. But our time's coming. We'll get him here eventually, here very soon. Kyle Quinn, again, thank you for working with me this week to try to make this happen. We might have to do something similar next week because we will not be having a show on Monday night for obvious reasons. So we might have to come back later in the week and break down the Buccaneers game and then look ahead at the what is this? Commanders? Yeah, the Commanders. So please be fluid, Kyle, and I'll let you know as the week progresses what we're going to do with that. But thank you again for coming on. And where can the people find you out there?
You got it, my brother. Thank you for having me, Matt. Enjoy your weekend and go Birds.
All right, go Birds. Kyle Quinn. Kyle joins me again. It was a rough week to try to get JJ, who I had a great interview with. I love talking with Jim Jackson. It was great. It was one of the best interviews I've ever done. It was very funny, but I totally forgot about Kyle during all that. But we got it in tonight. So you had your double dose of talking Philly sports with Matty B this week. Tonight, the Birds breakdown with Kyle Quinn. So until we talk again, because it's probably going to be a little bit, maybe like a week or so in the back end of next week when I come back on to do Birds breakdown with Kyle Quinn. But until we talk again, go Birds, and yeah, have yourself a great weekend, folks.